Friday, so it's Brunch with Bernie, our national town hall meeting with Senator Bernie Sanders, sanders.senate.gov, his website. Senator Sanders, you are here?
I am right here. How are you, Tom?
I am just great. I understand that the Senate may begin voting and you may be pulled away.
Right. We are dealing with the budget right now. There are going to be dozens and dozens of amendments taking place. We'll probably be here to the early hours of the morning, so we may be called away or we may not.
Okay.
We will see.
All right. So your thoughts on the last, since we last spoke last week, what's going on in the Senate?
Well, mostly what's been going on is a lot of budget discussion. And the issue is really not complicated. Congressman Ryan, who is chairman of the House Budget Committee, has presented his budget, which is an unmitigated disaster. What his budget basically says is that we're going to balance the budget in 10 years by making horrendous cuts in virtually every program that working families depend upon. We're going to end over a period of time Medicare as we know it, massive cuts in Medicaid, throw millions of people, men, women, and children off of that program, cuts in education, cuts in nutrition, you name the program. They're going to cut that. And we're also, by the way, as we cut programs for ordinary people, we're going to lower the tax rates for the wealthiest people in this country. I mean, that's what right-wing republicanism is about, tax breaks for the wealthiest people and massive cuts for working families. I'm on the Budget Committee, so I've been working for the last couple of weeks as an independent with the Democratic Caucus, working with Senator Murray, who is the chair of the Democratic Budget Committee, and what we're on the floor doing right now is going over that budget. Some of the amendments that I'm going to be offering on number one, at a time when corporate profits are at record-breaking levels and the effective tax rate that corporations are paying is the lowest since 1972, when you have 1 out of 4 major profitable corporations paying nothing in taxes. You know, when we're losing about $100 billion every year because these companies are stashing their money in the Cayman Islands and in other tax havens. And when you have just incredible outrages out there, you have entities like Bank of America making huge profits, setting up several hundred subsidiaries in the Cayman Islands to avoid taxes, not paying any taxes. General Electric, during the last 5 years, made $81 billion in profit. Not only did it pay nothing in taxes, federal taxes, during that period, it got a $3 billion rebate from the IRS. You got Citigroup, paid no federal income taxes for the last 5 years after being bailed out by the taxpayers of this country. So you got outrage after outrage after outrage. And our Republican friends and some Democrats don't want to address that issue. What they much prefer to do is talk about cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education, nutrition, and all of the programs that impact working families. So that is what the debate is about. The Murray budget, the Senate Democratic budget, is far, far, far more preferable to the House budget. It does not go anywhere near as far as it should. We got 14% of our population today is truly unemployed, counting those who have given up looking for work, those who are working part-time when they want to work full-time. We've got $100 billion in there to rebuild the infrastructure. That's much too little. We need to be creating millions and millions of jobs, putting our people, including young people, back to work. And we can do that through infrastructure, through transforming our energy system. So what we have is a disastrous budget in the House, a much better budget in the Senate, but not good enough. And I'm going to try to make it a little bit better this afternoon.
Yeah, I understand that there was even a vote on a piece of legislation that in the Senate that said we expressly to establish a deficit-neutral reserve fund to protect Medicare's guaranteed benefits and to prohibit replacing guaranteed benefits with the House passed budget plan to turn Medicare into a voucher program. And 3 senators, Cruz, Lee, and Rand Paul, voted against this. In other words,
these guys,
they want a voucher program?
Of course they want a voucher program. In fact, many of them, the vast majority of the Republicans support the Rand budget. What we are engaged in, and I hope the American people know it, is certainly in the modern history of this country, is an unprecedented level of class warfare. We had, I think I've mentioned this before a couple of weeks ago, the Business Roundtable, which consists of the heads of the largest corporations in America, all of whom are profitable. All of these CEOs make millions of dollars a year in compensation. All of them have wonderful retirement packages. And they came forward and they said, oh, we should raise the Medicare eligibility age to 70. We should raise the Social Security eligibility age to 70. These are the wealthiest CEOs in the country making that proclamation. So what we are seeing in America now, and have seen for many years, is a massive transfer of wealth from middle income and working families to the wealthiest people in this country. We've got 46 million people living in poverty. We have the rich and large corporations paying effectively very low tax rates. And that's the dynamic of where we are today. And that's what has got to change if we are going to preserve the middle class. And one area we are working very hard is this absurdity of allowing these corporations to stash their money in tax havens in the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, elsewhere around the world where they pay zero in taxes, and which contributes to the deficit problem we have in our country today.
Senator, I know you're now on the Veterans Affairs Committee, if I have that right, the name of it correctly.
Yes.
What's being done to do away with this, in many cases, 600-day backlog for veterans to just get their applications for
benefits? We have a serious problem, and I don't want to understate the problem. The truth is that the VA right now is processing more claims than they ever have before. They're processing about 1 million claims a year. Problem is, because we've opened up the system appropriately, so a lot of Vietnam vets have been able to get compensation or applying for compensation, service benefits, service-connected benefits because of exposure to Agent Orange. And in other areas, we have now 1.2 million benefits a year coming in. So the good news is the VA is now processing more claims than ever before. The bad news is that they're unable to keep up with the unprecedented number of claims that are coming in. Also, what is going on is, for the first time, what the VA is trying to do, what should have been done a long, long time ago, but has only really begun about 4 years ago when General Shinseki became head of the VA, is to convert these enormous paper files. I mean, for some veterans, you have a file that goes from the floor to the ceiling. To convert that paper into the digital world, right, and create a paperless system. So it's a complicated issue. They are making progress. Clearly, there are serious problems that remain, serious backlogs that remain.
Is the sequester slowing this down?
Sequester is not hitting the VA. It is hitting other programs which impact veterans, but not the VA per se.
Okay. Pardon my interrupting you.
No, not at all. It's a huge issue. And I'd love to hear from veterans out there about ways we can improve the VA. We had 2 hearings. One of them was just on this issue, Tom, the backlog. And the second issue was on veterans' health care. We remain very concerned about the number of suicides that the veterans community is experiencing, and the many folks coming home from Afghanistan and Iraq with post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury. Huge problems which we are attempting to get our hands around.
It's our Brunch with Bernie hour. Senator Bernie Sanders on the line with us. I think of him as America's senator. Vermonters know he's theirs. Lucky guys. Check out sanders.senate.gov. You can sign up for the Bernie Buzz. You can sign the various petitions on his website.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And you can also keep up with the news, the general, good political news of what's going on in America, all over at sanders.senate.gov. We'll be back with more Bernie, taking your calls right after this. Welcome back. Reginald, watching us on Free Speech TV in Houston, Texas. You are on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hey, Senator Sanders, how you doing, Tom? Look here, Senator, I wanted to applaud you on the Vermont way that y'all have up there of dealing with y'all economy and being fiscally sound. Could that Vermont way go to Detroit and Chicago, which those cities are not fiscally sound, they're going under? I wonder if it is run by the state, could something else be implemented on that? The LIBOR fixing, what about this LIBOR fixing that's actually turning our economy up with that bad betting on LIBOR? And this morning, I seen one on the campaign, it's talking about campaign financing where it was nepotism, where there was some people using their campaign funds, their funds for campaigning out of Congress to use it as a sort of a slush fund. And I wonder if that's some oversight. Could you touch on those three issues there, Senator? I appreciate you.
Reg, you ask a lot of issues. I think let me get back to maybe the issue of financial institutions. Tom, we are going to be doing a town meeting in Vermont within the next couple of months with Matt Taibbi. Do you know Matt?
Oh, I do. Yeah, he's a remarkable reporter, and he broke the story on how Goldman Sachs conspired with the Greek government to hide their debt to get them into the EU, which is now blowing up in their face.
Matt is one of the few. When it comes to covering financial issues, there are very few writers who have the guts to get into the bowels of Wall Street and talk about what's really happening there.
Yeah.
And so in response to Reggie's question, I would just say, Reg, that I don't see good things happening in our economy until the Congress and the White House has the courage to take on the wealth and power of Wall Street. And by that I mean you have 6 financial institutions, just hear this one out. 6 financial institutions own more assets, have more assets than 2/3 of the GDP of the United States of America, some $9 trillion controlled by just 6 financial institutions. The reason we bailed out Wall Street is presumably that these financial institutions were too big to fail. Tom and Reg and everybody else would be interested to know that all of the top 10 financial institutions are now bigger than they were when we bailed them out because they were too big to fail. And the other thing that I would say is just an absolutely remarkable set of occurrences. A number of weeks ago, somebody working for the Department of Justice, I think it was, made the point that he thought we could not prosecute the big financial institutions, even if they were guilty of illegal behavior, because if you did that, it would create so much instability in the financial markets that it could lead to serious economic consequences in the United States around the world. And shockingly, the Attorney General of the United States of America, Eric Holder, made a similar statement, I think it was last week, that not only are these banks too big to fail, the people who run these banks are too big to jail. So essentially what that statement is about is these guys can do anything they want, and if in fact they are perpetrating fraud because they are so big, and if they were prosecuted, it would bring so much instability to the market with so much economic impact that we're not going to prosecute them. Now, chew on that one for a while.
Yeah, this too big to fail, too big to... It's amazing. It's amazing. Senator Bernie Sanders with us. We'll be back with more of your calls for Bernie right after this. 20 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour. Senator Bernie Sanders over at the Senate Television Studios here with us. And Larry in Franklin, North Carolina. You are on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yes, Senator Sanders, I'd like to thank you for all the work that you do in Congress. But my deal is that I don't understand that why we can't use our taxpayers' money from the local, state, and federal government when we purchase things to run our government. Why can't we have that product made in the United States? Even if it's made by foreign companies, that they should come to the United States and make the products that we got to use in our schools, in our courthouses, and everything else. Why do we have
Larry, thanks very much for that question. And this is an issue that Tom and I have discussed over the years, and I agree with you absolutely. Here's what the story is. Not only is corporate America working desperately to avoid paying their fair share of taxes by putting their money in tax havens, what they have done for many, many years is support trade policies which allow them to shut down in America, move to China, Vietnam, Mexico, other low-wage countries to manufacture their products, and then bring these products back into this country with either low tariffs or no tariffs at all. And that's what NAFTA is about, that's what CAFTA is about, that's what permanent normal trade relations with China is about, that's what a new Pacific Rim trade agreement is also about. This is corporate America basically saying, why do I want to pay an American worker 15, 20 bucks an hour, provide health insurance, protect the environment, when I can go to countries like China, pay pennies an hour, don't worry about the environment, don't worry about unions. That's where I want to go. That's what these trade agreements have been about. Last 10 years, we have lost over 50,000 factories in America. Not all of it due to trade, but a lot of it due to these trade agreements. And we've got to stop that. Now, what I have done is work with, among other things, the Smithsonian Institute, which previously in their gift shops and their online purchases, online catalogs, was selling a lot of products made abroad. We've put pressure on them and asked them to do the right thing and reach out to American companies, and they have. We're seeing a transformation there. As chairman of the Veterans Committee, we are right now working with the VA to make sure that the products they use and that they sell in their gift shops and elsewhere are, to as great a degree as possible, made in America. But we have got to continue that effort. Corporate America will go wherever wages are lowest in the world, wherever they can get away with environmental degradation and not have to clean up their factories. And we have got to say to them, sorry, if you want us to purchase your products, you should start rebuilding the manufacturing base here in America, create decent jobs here in this country. It is a huge issue, and it's something we've got to focus on. But I'll give you tell you the truth, because the Chamber of Commerce and the National Association of Manufacturing are so powerful, and they have tremendous power over the Republican Party, considerable power over the Democratic Party and the White House. I wouldn't hold my breath as we move in that direction. But, Larry, that is exactly what we have to do.
Jim, in Lake Forest, Illinois, listening on WCPT. Jim, you're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yeah, hi, Senator. I just wondered, since first off, since all economists virtually, and history, and now even Republicans admit we do not have an immediate shortage or budget deficit, why can't they propose, or the president really come out and say, look, then what we have to do is there will be no cuts until an economic trigger is hit, and we are going to keep investing in the economy, and when we hit 6%, let's say, unemployment for 4 quarters in a row, and GDP goes up, let's say 2%, that can be negotiated, then and only then we consider any kind of cuts that are anything other than just cleaning up corruption or waste or whatnot. Now, that just seems to me like a logical, and then put on the Republicans and say, look, if you don't go for this, it seems to us that you're trying to destroy the economy. I mean, why wouldn't you go for this? If you go for this, you prove you don't. You put them on the defensive. They prove you don't try and destroy the economy.
Well, Jim, that is first of all, let me just say from Jim's lips to Barack Obama's ears. I think Jim, in a very clear and articulate way, told us very much what we have got to do. For a start, what many people don't know is that the deficit has gone down over the last few years from 1.4 trillion to about 850 billion, and the projection is it is going to continue to go down. That's still a lot of money, and that's in addition or on top of a $16+ trillion national debt. Those are real issues, so I don't want to sweep them under the rug. But what Jim is saying absolutely correctly is that before you start cutting education, Social Security, veterans programs, Medicare, Medicaid, before you start cutting, and by the way, when you do that, laying off American workers, what we have to do is deal with a more serious problem that real unemployment is over 14% and even higher among our young people and people of color. And what Jim is saying, and I agree with him, we have got to invest. Our infrastructure is crumbling. State of Vermont, a very significant percentage of our bridges are in serious disrepair. That's true all over this country. Everybody who drives roads in virtually every community in America knows that we need to improve our roads and highways. Everybody knows that our rail system is way behind Europe, Japan, even China, that we have to create a first-class rail system for passengers and for cargo. Travel in airports, you see how outdated many of the airports are. We have to invest in infrastructure, and when you do that, you can create millions of jobs, put people back to work. When they're back to work, they are paying taxes, by the way, and that helps us with deficit reduction. The other issue that we have to deal with is the crisis of global warming. We had a town meeting in Montpelier, Vermont, just last week. We had Bill McKibben, one of the leading experts on global warming, doing a great job raising consciousness. 600 people were out. We have to invest in sustainable energy and in energy efficiency, put people back to work doing that as well.
It's our Brunch with Bernie hour. Senator Bernie Sanders here taking your calls, at least unless there's a vote in the Senate. Might pull him away, but for right now, he's here with us. We'll be back with more of your calls for Senator Sanders right after this. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. It is our Brunch with Bernie hour. Senator Bernie Sanders on the line with us. You're still here, Senator? You
right
absolutely
here.
are. Okay, great. Paul in Sparta, Wisconsin, watching on DirecTV on Free Speech TV. You are on the air with Senator Sanders.
Well, thank you, sir. Senator Sanders, thank you for sticking around and listening to some problems. I have two questions on the sequester. The first one is, are you all going to do anything to try to stop this? I can't afford, as a government employee, I can't afford to take an $800 a month pay cut. I have a mortgage, a car payment, a kid in school. And, you know, I've done 38 years with the federal government, and I don't want to retire right yet. And my second question is, if this is supposed to be shared sacrifice between all federal employees, why aren't the congressmen and senators taking a 20% pay cut just like I have to?
Okay, let me answer your first question. As somebody who voted against the legislation which enabled sequestration from taking place, some of us, you know, when you say you guys, that always, as Thom knows, that always gets me upset. There is no you guys. There are two separate political parties. There are 100 members of the Senate, each who have different points of view. Don't lump me in with some of these right-wing guys who have proposals out there, by the way, to substantially cut back on federal employees, the number of federal employees, to cut back on wages, to cut back on benefits. There are some people who want to do that, and there are some of us who are trying to protect and fight for federal employees. And it's important that employees understand who is what, who's working with the unions, fighting with the unions for workers' rights, and who wants to really shrink the federal government, working not only to protect federal employees, but the U.S. Postal Service workers as well. So in terms of your question is, are some of us trying to do anything? We are. As a matter of fact, that's what we're doing right at this minute. That's what the budget resolution is all about. What the budget resolution, which is on the floor right now, and where there may be votes in 15 minutes, for which I'll have to leave this program, deals just with this issue. Now, in my view, sequestration was a disaster, and the reason that federal employees are furloughed is because the Republicans demanded that no new revenue come in. It was $1.1 trillion over 10 years of cuts. And if that's all you do, you got to make very painful cuts. And one of them is furloughing public employees. So to answer Paul's question, that is precisely what is taking place right now. It is the attempt to develop a budget to replace sequestration, which, among other things, would end the furloughing of federal employees.
Craig in Orlando, Florida. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yes, thank you. Senator, I'm glad that you're defending us postal workers, but unfortunately I think the Postmaster General is ignoring you gentlemen because they are speeding up the closure of my workplace down in Central Florida, and they're not giving us any offers of jobs in the area. They're saying, we'll get you a couple of jobs, but you might have to go somewhere else a couple hundred miles away or anything else. Can't do that. I have a son that's in high school, wife and everything else, been doing this for 25 years. And they're telling a lot of these guys, either take the job that's wherever or you're furloughed. And we're in a panic right now because we feel like we're being ignored. And because of, Congressman Ice's little hostage crisis with his bill, we're quite frankly, we don't know which end is up anymore.
Okay. Well, Craig, thanks very much for calling. And, Craig is saying the same thing that Paul of Wisconsin just said. And I want everybody to understand this. And, what upset me a little bit about Paul's question is this, you guys. And when you talk about you guys and assuming that everybody in the Congress is coming from the same place, that's dumb. That's wrong. Here's what's going on. Some of us believe that the United States government should be playing an active role in making sure that programs are provided to people who need them, whether that is education, whether it's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, nutrition, whatever. That it is the federal government that helps people get an education, helps them with retirement, helps them when they're sick. We have a party in the House now in control, the right-wing Republicans, who have a very different point of view. They believe the private sector should do those things or not do them at all. And if people do not have any health insurance because you've made massive cuts in Medicaid or Medicare, not a problem. If people can't afford to go to college, not a problem. If older people who have limited incomes can't get Meals on Wheels or nutrition programs, not a problem. Working families can't afford child care, not a problem. So what you have is one party trying to eviscerate what the federal government does, and when you do that, you also lay off of workers. Now, in terms of the Postal Service, we dealt, I think it was a year and a half ago, with a proposal from the Postmaster General. And when he said, I want to shrink the Postal Service in the middle of this recession by some 200,000 workers. I want to shut down half of the rural post offices in America. I want to shut down half of the processing plants in America. I want to slow mail delivery. And some of us said, sorry, we think that's a dumb idea. You're not going to do it. Well, we didn't get everything that we wanted, but we stopped them from doing what they wanted to do. They didn't shut down 15,000 rural post offices. In fact, what they did, which I'm not happy about, is cut back on hours. Not great, but better than shutting them down. And they shut down far fewer processing plants that they wanted. So Craig asked, where are we right now? And where you are right now is, Craig, last year, the Senate passed a bill, which didn't go as far as I would like, but it was a fairly good bill, and I voted for it, which addresses the major problem facing the Postal Service. And that is that about 75 to 80% of the financial problems of the Post Office have to do with the onerous burden, financial burden, placed on the Postal Service in 2006 by the Bush administration, saying that they have to fund 75 years of retiree health benefits in a 10-year period, $5.5 billion every single year. You get rid of that burden, you go a long way to stabilizing the finances of the Postal Service, and that's what we've done, and that's what we're focusing on. So we're working on a bill here in the Senate, and I'll be actively involved in that. We hope that the House will go along with our version, and if we do that, I'm not going to tell Craig there won't be pain. There will be, but it'll be a heck of a lot worse than what the Postmaster General and what the Republicans originally wanted.
Zach in Manassas, Virginia. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Senator Sanders. I wanted to thank you for and telling him that he's wrong. So,
Zach, your phone is breaking up really badly. I'm only hearing every third word.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe is this
better?
Better.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to thank you for trying to hold these corporations accountable and try to make them pay taxes. It's really, really inspiring to hear that kind of rhetoric from a senator. I mean, it's kind of it's super important that these huge billion-dollar corporations pay their
Zach, your phone's still breaking up. What's your question for Bernie?
I just wanted to know if he supported apartheid in Israel.
Okay.
Well,
I'm
no,
not
I
sure
do
what
not
that
support. All right, well, let me just say this about the banks. Here's some good news. Right now, there's a break. We were supposed to, by the way, Tom, have votes at 2:30. It is now a 3:45, and there are still no votes, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on the floor there. Mm-hmm. But one of the positive things is my understanding, I won't swear to you, is that on one of the amendments, very similar to one that I'm offering, dealing with these tax havens in the Cayman Islands and so forth, we think that maybe John McCain has come aboard that. And that's important. That'll be the first Republican aboard, and I think we may get others. This is a huge, huge issue because you've heard people calling up federal employees saying, we can't survive a 20% reduction in our wages. And they're absolutely right. And the way you address that is by bringing in more revenue. Revenue now, as a percentage of GDP in this country, is at the lowest point it has been in some 60 years. And one way you bring in revenue is demand that many of these corporations, Bank of America, General Electric, Citigroup, Verizon, Honeywell International, Merck, Corning, Boeing, Dow Chemical, J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, all of these companies are taking advantage, and many more, of these tax havens, and they're either paying nothing in federal income taxes or very, very little, much less than they should. So we've got to keep the pressure on, and we've got to get Democrats on board this. We've got to get Republicans on board. And when you do that, we can bring in revenue that will result in ending these absurd cuts that are hurting so many people.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. We have just 2 seconds to the break here. Here we go. You're going to be with us for the next 15 minutes, Senator?
So far, it looks like I will.
Okay, great. We're going to take more phone calls for Senator Bernie Sanders right after this. 45 minutes past the hour here on the Thom Hartmann Program. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour. Check out Bernie's website at sanders.senate.gov. If you have questions you couldn't get through on the air, you can communicate them to him via his website as well. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Also, one of our callers today is going to receive a free signed copy of my book, Rebooting the American Dream, 11 Ways to Rebuild Our Country, brought to you by Stamps.com. Welcome back. 45 minutes past the hour. Dick in Mascouda, Illinois. Am I saying it right, Dick?
Oh, no, it's Mascouda, Illinois.
Mascouda. Okay, you're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yes, I'd like to ask Senator Sanders. Senator Durbin, my senator here from Illinois, has a plan out now where he wants to put out a new commission looking into Social Security and Medicare. And it seems to me it's another cat food commission like the Simpson Bowls. And I was wondering what Bernie's input would be on that. Thank you very much.
Well, okay, thanks very much, Dick. And you're right. Senator Durbin does have that plan. And here's what I think. A, the devil is in the details, and it has to do who's going to be sitting on that commission. My fear is, and what I'm fighting right now, and I'll be on the floor today, dealing with just this issue, is there is a huge effort right now to make cuts in Social Security and benefits for disabled vets through a so-called chain CPI. And a chain CPI is a recalculation of how we determine inflation and the COLAs that seniors and disabled vets get. They want to cut back on those. And there are many people who want to make significant cuts in Social Security. And this is not just Republicans. You got some Democrats who want to do it also. What I want to establish is that at a time when Social Security has a $2.7 trillion surplus, when it can pay out every benefit owed to every eligible American for the next 20 years, that Social Security has nothing to do with the deficit. So if Durbin's idea is to say, look, let's take a look at Social Security, let's see how we can make it solvent for 75 years, understanding that it has nothing to do with the deficit right now, I support that idea. If the commission is going to be a fair commission and not a stacked commission. My immediate concern is that Obama and the Republicans and some other Democrats are prepared to move forward on this chain CPI. It would mean that if you're 65 today, by the time you're 75, your benefits will be cut by $650 a year. If you're a disabled vet, you would also see very significant cuts. I don't want to see that happen. And if we could take the discussion of Social Security away from deficit reduction, I think, and get a fair commission with fair representation protecting seniors and disabled vets, I can support that.
Okay. Glenn in Layton, Utah. We have just a minute to the break. Glenn, quick question for Bernie.
Yes, I'll try to be quick. Senator, I saw you yesterday on TV, and I was very impressed. I thought the curtains were going to start on fire. Boy, you're really impressive on the Senate floor.
You know what? Let me apologize, Tom. I think I've got to get to the floor right away.
Okay.
I've blown it.
Glenn?
All right, I've got to get to the floor right away.
Glenn, my
okay,
apologies.
We'll see you. My apologies. Take care.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Good luck, Senator. Okay. This is live television, as you can tell. This is live television. Off Bernie goes to vote. And God bless him. Let's hope that that there are some important votes today and that there's some important things that he can be standing up for.